So, you've got yourself a serious sports bike, you've got yourself the leathers, the lid, the boots, the gloves, but there's something missing. After all, if you want to get the best out of your sports bike in nanny state Britain, it's very difficult unless A, you fancy losing your licence, or B, you fancy a spell inside as Mr. Big's mistress. No, what you need is a track day. The track day business is booming as riders all over the country are realising that the circuit is the only place to really cut loose on a big sports bike. So we've come to Silverstone's GP circuit on 100% Bikes track day. So for a few quid, you're in far less danger of getting hurt, you'll have more fun than a teenager in Amsterdam, and on top of that, you'll improve your riding tenfold. But before you get out on track, there's a little bit of preparation that's needed first. And we're not just talking about your bike here either, because you've got to get yourself firing on all cylinders. All this means is lay off the booze the night before. Track days and hangovers mix like arsonists and rocket fuel. Get yourself a good night's kip, and if the track's miles away, consider travelling up the night before to stay in a hotel so you're fresh as a daisy first thing. And whatever you do, don't forget breakfast. You're going to burn a lot of energy, so you'll need it. And don't forget to drink plenty of water as well, because dehydration will ruin your concentration. One final thing you're going to need is a driving licence. Doesn't matter how many points you've got, but most circuits these days will demand to see one before they'll let you out on track. Turning our attention to your bike, give it a good clean beforehand. This may sound a bit daft, but it will help you spot any loose screws, punctures and that sort of thing. Make sure your tyres and brake pads have plenty of meat left on them because they're going to get a right hammering, and sort your chain tension before giving it a good lube too. Not only will this ensure smooth running, but a dry chain can cost you a couple of mile an hour down the straights, and we don't want that. Talking of tyres, check your tyre pressures too. There's a lot of talk about tyre pressures for track days, but the basic rules are to run road pressures as recommended in your handbook for cool track days. For hot summer track days, drop your pressures by 3 or 4 psi at both ends. But if it's wet at any time, leave them on the road pressures. This will leave the tread pattern open so that it keeps dispersing the water. If you take a bit of air out, then it will close up a little as you put pressure on it. But remember, whatever you do, whenever you're checking your tyre pressures, do it when the tyres are cold. So with a clear head and a sorted bike, you'll want to get yourself to the track in plenty of time to sign on and get to the briefing. And if it's your first time, don't be put off by riders all over the place with race bikes, tyre warmers and that sort of thing. Oh, and don't think you're the only novice there either. Guys that look fastest rarely are, and you can bet there will be plenty of others in the same beginner's boat as you. When it comes to signing on, be realistic about your abilities. If you are a beginner, don't be afraid to join the steady group. But if you really know what you're doing, then do go for the fast group rather than lording it over slower riders in the intermediate group and spoiling their day.
The fast group and then the novice group will be the last ones on circuit.
Even if you have been to loads of track days, do go to the briefing because different organisers run things slightly differently. Plus, the track may have been changed since you were last there, and running off a circuit you know well because of a chicane you've never seen before could be very embarrassing. Well, that's the briefing over and done with, so join me in a moment when I'm going to be out on track with this lot. But for the meantime, here's Fran with a load of information on tweaking and tuning your engine for maximum performance.
Okay, picture the scene. You arrive on a track day on your gleaming GSXR 600. It looks gorgeous and you're beaming with pride. It's time to go out and you're expecting big things from your screaming rev factory. You look around and it seems to be a fair grouping of bikes. There are a few ZX6s, an R6 here and there, the odd CBR 600 buzzing around, and then you're out on the track. But hang on, what's this? You're going nowhere fast. All the other riders are screaming past you like you're on a 50. How embarrassing. Hang that head in shame. Now all this can be avoided and easily. All it takes is a bit of preparation and tinkering. So we've come to the home of bike tuning specialist Demon Tweaks in Wrexham to find out how. We've enlisted the help of Adi, who's going to talk us through some of the essentials of bike tuning. So Adi, we've got a lot of tyres here. What do we need?
For track day we need some track day tyres.
Good idea.
Firstly, the tyres that's come on the bike already. Whichever bike you've got, you're going to have your basic road tyres.
Right.
If you just look at the shape on that one,
yeah.
you can see from your flat edge straight the way over is a nice rounded effect. So use your average road tyre. That'll probably last you 5,000 miles average use.
Right.
Going on to your track day tyres,
Yep.
they're a different shape and they're a lot different compound.
Right.
You'll see from the shape of this one, you've got your flat edge and it goes straight over.
Very angular.
The reason being, your rider is going to spend a lot more time on the edge of the tyre.
Yeah.
That's where he's going to be.
Right.
So that's where you need the most of the grip.
Right. So that's a wet, and then we've got the.
This would be classed as a dry tyre as opposed to a wet tyre.
Right. So almost as slick as a cut slick.
It's as
Kind
close
of.
as a cut slick as you can get
Yeah.
road legal.
Yeah.
With this sort of tyre, as you can see, there's a lot flatter area. There's not a lot of grooves anywhere. So that's a good dry day track tyre. With this one, you would still, a lot of race series still demand this tyre as a control tyre,
Yeah.
but you've still got a good edge. There's still plenty of grip there,
Yeah.
even on a cool day.
Which brings me on to heat. How do you warm your
With-
tyres?
To start off on a track day, you would normally go out on cold tyres.
Yeah.
The bike's going to be a bit twitchy, you're a bit nervous. If you try and push too much, the front's going to go.
Yeah.
That's when it comes to cold tyres. You can stop that or assist it by using tyre warmers. You put them on 30-40 minutes before your session. That way, when you go out on lap 1, you go into turn 1, you've got hot tyres,
Right.
which means you're up to temperature straight away and you're nice and sticky.
And how much would a set of those cost you then?
You're looking for about £200 to £300, depending on which mate you go for, but they're worth the money.
If you want to win the race, you've got to warm your tyres.
Yeah.
That's tyres done. Let's move on to bodywork. Right, Sadie, this is my new bike, I wish. It's cost me an absolute fortune. What happens if I drop it?
It costs you a fortune all over again.
I knew you were going to say that. So what do I do?
You'd replace as much as you can with aftermarket parts. For instance, the bodywork, the lights, your mirrors. You would take everything possibly off that you could,
That sticks out and could damage.
yeah, anything that you could break. For instance, the bodywork, you'd replace the whole front end and the screen with an aftermarket one.
Right.
You would use a little clock holder such as this one, whereas you've got a big instrument panel at the front,
Yeah.
you would just use this one. That one will cost you about £500, this will cost you £100. This will hold your tacho and your water, which is all you really need for a track day.
Now, it makes a big difference saving that. What happens with my back end? How much would that cost me to replace?
About the same again.
500 or
Whereas
600 quid.
we can do your replacement seat unit,
Yeah,
identical to the standard one,
yeah.
bolt straight on, £100.
A big difference. And can you tell me what I'm supposed to do with that?
That's your new seat.
It's very attractive, very comfy. So basically, what happens with my tank?
The tank, you would just run the standard tank for a basic track day.
So there's nothing I can do about that then?
Not on the tank, be careful.
Just don't drop it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Sadie. I think that's about all we can digest in part 1, but do stay with us because in part 2, I should be getting some more tuning tips from the Demon Tweaks guys.
Thanks for that, Fran, and welcome back to our track day here at Silverstone, where I have to say we have been very lucky because not only do we have the full GP circuit to ride, but as well as that, it looks like the weather's drying out. Anyway, having done I don't know how many track days, I'm here to just have a laugh with my new GSXR 750 and try out the new tyres that I've stuck on. But things can be a little different for a first timer. To help bring you that first track day experience firsthand, I'd like you to meet a friend of mine, Dave Rossiter. So then, Dave, how long have you been riding motorcycles?
23 years.
23 years on the road.
On the road, 23 years since I was 17.
And any breaks in that period?
Little ones, but not much.
Right, okay. And then what about competition? You've done a bit of that as well, haven't you?
I did 14 years of motocross racing,
Yeah.
right up to British Championship standard.
Plenty of time getting muddy then.
Great time, great time.
And you're quite a handy mechanic as well, aren't you?
Done a bit, yeah, I did 2 years with Mervyn after I gave up racing.
Was that in GPs?
That was in Motocross GP.
Yeah.
Then I did European Supermonos with John Crawford,
Yeah.
and went over to the island with Jim Moody.
Very
on
good.
Supermono.
Distinguished CV, but in all this vast array of riding experience, have you ever ridden a motorcycle on a track?
No.
Well, no time like the present. You best go and get yourself ready.
Okay, mate.
Now, I know he looks dead cool, calm and collected, but I can tell you, on the inside, that man is a quivering bag of jelly. We'll see how he gets on. With any track day, it's always best to start slow and build up. After all, you've got the whole day to play with, plus it's always a bonus to take both yourself and your bike home in one piece. So for that first session of the day, don't even think about the speed. Use it as a chance to find out where the track goes, or to remind yourself if it's a place you've been to before, and just get your head into gear, get up to speed with the day, and feel your way around. After this, take a rest, and then you can begin adding speed in your later sessions. Even so, always take the first 3 laps steadily. You'll need these to warm your tyres, suspension and motor, and to get yourself into the groove. Well, we've had our first couple of sessions today, and it's fair to say I'm having an absolute ball on my GSXR. And if you want to know about the tyres, the Pirelli Diablo coursers I've got on here are actually stickier than the high sports that I had on before. Anyway, enough of that, because it's time to see how our first timer's doing. Now then, Dave, I'm having a laugh out there. How about you?
Excellent, brilliant. Never experienced anything like this.
So, would it be fair to say that at the beginning of the day you were a little bit nervous?
No, very nervous.
Very nervous.
Yeah. I don't know why, but very nervous.
Even though you've spent a lot of time around racetracks?
Yeah, but I've always been this side of the fence, haven't I? Not that other side.
Ah, so now that you got out there, how did it feel?
It felt great. At least I'm learning the other side of it as well. I'm going to understand, I think, a bit more.
I've got to say, after those first 3 warm-up laps, I could see the grin in your helmet was a mile wide.
Just, I don't know, you just don't know why. You just come in with this grin factor, don't you? You know.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, a bit more?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
We're going to get to it then. We'll see you in a moment. As the day goes on, as long as you remember the golden rules of staying relaxed and remembering to breathe at all times, it's amazing how many people will hold their breath through fast corners. The world is your oyster, and it's party time. If you're struggling with the track at all, or you just want to improve your riding, grab yourself an instructor. All track day companies have them, they don't cost any extra to use, and for some reason, a lot of people don't seem to use them so much, so they may not be busy, and they'll probably be glad that you're talking to them at all. If, on the other hand, your pace is getting quicker, you'll be wanting to overtake slower riders. Just remember, this isn't a race day, so fairing bashing is out of the question, and it's the overtaking rider's responsibility to make a clean pass, so hold off if you're uncertain about making one.